The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
It's time to release the Carson-Newman women's basketball schedule for the upcoming 2024-25 season. I'm Andrew Rogers. This is the head coach, Mike Mincey, for the Eagles Sports Network. Coach, another trip to Rocky Top. We'll start there with an exhibition game. They have a new coach there, but obviously you're able to keep that game. How important was it for the third straight year to get that game? Certainly you've done that a lot in your tenure, taking teams down there to Knoxville, but now with the new coach, able to keep that game. What can that do for your players once again?
Well, I mean, as always, we're super appreciative of the opportunity, for our program and for our players to experience that. This will be keeping that connection with the Lady Vol program and certainly with the University of Tennessee just been down the road. It's been really important for us, and, this is the fourth coach that we've played against, and, we've tried to keep the ties, the people that are still there, and I think they've spoken highly of us. That I think it's a win-win for both teams. As a Division II program, we're going to bring more fans to that game, paying that $5 ticket price than anybody else they could probably go out and get. So a lot of local players on our team, a lot of local teams bring their kids there to watch that game. So again, I mean, I think it's a win for us. It may not be a win on the floor, but it's a win, in terms of our kids getting to play against them, and we appreciate Coach Kim, and I know she's new but she's allowed us to continue to have that relationship with them.
All right, every schedule is unique. It's different. That's the same for this year. It's Lander and Aiken once again in the SAC Peach Belt Crossover Challenge. But you're going to start conference play right after that, November 16th. It'll be the earliest game that this program will ever play. That's a league game. So how important does that make the preseason and that exhibition game, those early practices, that preseason, knowing conference play is right there once you get the year started, basically?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different, but it's always important. I mean, every game is important. Conference games, obviously, people want to put more emphasis on it, but when you're looking at, the end of the year, when you're trying to try to get an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. If you don't win your tournament, they're all important at this point in time. But all of our preseason stuff will be super important. The Tennessee game has always kind of helped us in terms of the preparation that we have to play against that caliber of talent. It'll be even more this year with their style of play and how they're going to pressure you and pick you up. It's going to be a completely different animal that we'll have to prepare for, which will help us later on because we do play Glenville State, which is going to play the same way, which is where Kim came from. But the LR game wasn't even supposed to be that early. It was a game scheduled in December, but the league schedules games early December. We have a few schools in our league that can't play during finals, and then it's up to the schools to change it around. So it's interesting dynamic, but I guess it was very fortunate for LR and for both of us that we could find a date that worked for both.
We'll get more into the conference slate. We go back to the round robin, but let's just go through the schedule from November into December. 5 of your final 6 games in the first semester are on the road, and that's with trips to Catawba, who was the number 1 seed in the region, and Anderson, who you had to play 4 times last year, and was also an NCAA tournament team. So it's a challenging first semester with league games starting early, but also a tough end to it with all those road games. How does that stretch play out in your eyes?
Yeah, I want to have a tough schedule. You try to make it as tough as possible. Certainly, we play in a really good league. We had 5 teams in the NCAA tournament last year, and anytime you're going on the road, it's always difficult. We've been good on the road in the past, but these last 2 years hasn't been our best. Obviously we were really strong at home, going 15-0, which probably was our saving grace. So you got to have a mentality to go on the road and play well. And certainly the way the schedule plays out with our trip to North Georgia, along with our conference games, it's going to tell us a lot about ourselves before we go into the Christmas break and then come back for the second semester.
You get 10 days apart, North Georgia back on the schedule. That's a road game, and then New Year's Day. First time ever the program will play on New Year's Day against Glenville State. How do those 2 non-conference games fit in? Because you'll play those, I don't know what the number of conference games, but you'll play a lot of conference games, and then you split it up with the 2 non-co games. So how does that dynamic work for your team with those games coming over the holiday break?
Well, North Georgia, we've had a really good, I don't even call it a rivalry, whatever, but we've had a great relationship again with playing North Georgia, who's been a powerhouse in the Peach Belt. Last year they had some injuries, didn't make the NCAA tournament. I'm sure they're ready to make that correct again this year and get back to the NCAA tournament. But it's a 2-year contract. We'll play down there this year, and then they're going to come back to us. And it's a program that we need to be playing from a strength of schedule standpoint. If you lose that game, you still get the strength of schedule. If you win that game, it's a huge head-to-head matchup. And we like going down there. It's a nice place. In terms of Glenville, we went to Glenville and played last year, and we wanted to experience that style of play that carried them to a national title, 3 years ago, I guess, and ultimately got Kim to the University of Tennessee. So until you see it up close and personal, you can't really know exactly what that's like. So they're a powerhouse. Again, they missed the NCAA tournament last year. I'm sure their goal is to get back to where they've been in the past. And that will be 2 tough games that we have out of conference before it leads us back into conference play in January.
Yep, so Glenville State, the final non-conference game, and then after that it's all league games. And before we talk about the league, after the Glenville State game, that's the start of where you'll play twice every week until late February. Don't know how that ranks in years past and if that's been done, but it sounds daunting. So how do you approach that, knowing for basically 2 months you're going to play Wednesday, Saturday every week?
Well, I don't know for a fact. I think we have 2 bye dates, in January and February, which honestly, in my experience, when we've had like round robin type play in the conference, once we get to January and February, it's Wednesday, Saturday through the whole months, the 2 months getting into tournament play. So, even though it'll be a daunting task, as always, you do have the 2 dates there. I can't remember if they were Saturdays or Wednesdays, but I think we have the 2 open dates, which give you a chance to, if you're banged up or got injuries, to get people back on the court. But we're lucky, again, this year that we have a lot of depth, and we feel like the depth is going to be one of the strong suits of our team that we can carry through, playing that slate of Wednesday, Saturday every single week.
All right, let's finish with talking about the round-robin part of this schedule. You're going to play everybody twice. It's weird because you'll play Limestone, I think, twice in the first semester, same with Catawba, so it's not really broken up evenly by semester. But you're going to play everybody twice, but there's also 13 teams in the league, so 24 conference games in total. How does that dynamic work? Pros and cons from playing so many league games and less non-conference games. Seems like a benefit because of the number of NCAA tournament teams that this league has produced last year and the past several years too.
Yeah, if we sat here forever and talked about the pros and cons, we could talk about each. It does help in scheduling. I think the last few years, we've had 10 non-conference games, or whether we've had 6 or 8, whatever, it's been very difficult to land the 28 games, and we always want to play the allotment of games that the NCAA allows us. When you're taking trips to Detroit because you can't find people to play, going all the way up to Glenville State, which was a long single-game trip because you can't find people to play. Last year we went all the way down to Americus, which ended up being really good for us to play Georgia Southwestern and Columbus State. But now our conference is strong, and 4 other teams made the NCAA tournament with us. You get them twice, So in the years that we weren't getting to play, say, Wingate a second time or LR a second time, this year you get them twice, and that's going to only help your strength of schedule as long as everybody plays up to their potential. So it can be good. Probably the biggest con is that you can't go out and face more Peach Belt schools, which we've always done, because that's huge when it comes to head-to-heads, looking at the committee looking at trying to get you in the NCAA tournament if you don't win it. So good and bad, but it is what it is, and we'll play the 24. I think probably the biggest positive is you're going to get a true champion during the regular season in our conference, because everybody's got to play everybody at their home facility.
Thanks for the time as always.
Thank you, Andrew.
That's Carson-Newman women's basketball head coach Mike Mincey. I'm Andrew Rogers, and this is the Eagles Sports Network.